Hey, Greg.
Hey, Tim.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty fantastic.
Pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff happening. It's summer. It's
just, good weather still.
yeah.
I
know. We went from that sweltering heat to like something that's tolerable.
Yeah. Being able to sleep in the morning, not having to get up to make sure the kids go to school.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Get up on your own schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to mention that, this is completely rando and off topic, but two of my 3 kids had their wisdom teeth removed this past week. And the third one, he had it earlier, like a couple weeks ago. And that was just because it was like almost an emergency.
Sure, yeah.
So do you remember having your wisdom teeth removed?
I do. I think I was right around the same age as your older boys, right at the edge of maybe freshman year of college or just before, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
And I believe it was cold in the winter.
Okay.
And I went to the same place my brother went to get his taken out.
Of course.
Besides being taken there and coming home, I don't remember much in between. I'm sure I was a little goofy when I came out of the anesthesia. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember anything in particular about it, or?
I do remember it wasn't an emergency, but they were at that point where they're like, we can't leave these in much longer because it's starting to push your teeth, and I just gotten my braces off a couple years earlier, and they didn't want it to wreck all the work, what the braces did.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Anything with, the 2 that had it most recently, anything?
No, nothing
notable.
Nothing notable. The one who had it done early was because he had them impacted.
Right.
So they had to he was in so much pain, the poor guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it made me think of when I had mine out. So I'm getting ready. I was fortunate enough that for high school I went. We did a high school senior trip, and we went to Florida.
Okay.
For university. Yeah. But literally that morning we wake up, we getting on the plane, and all of a sudden I notice when I bite down, the back of my jaw hurts.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was one of the wisdom teeth coming in. Nothing, got on the plane. I suffered I don't think it was a full week, maybe 3 or 4 days, with this pain in the back. I go suffering. I come home. They schedule, and they just removed the one. For whatever reason, they didn't remove them all. So then I'm a freshman in college, and it's midterms week, and the same thing. They come in like within 24 hours, and I'm in pain trying to study for final or for midterms or whatever it was, and then I went home, and then they took out the other 3.
Yeah, it is strange. I mean, unless they weren't really, I guess it's weird how they kind of just develop and become painful relatively quickly. So maybe they weren't just little buds at that point. They weren't ready to take them out. That does remind me, though. I think it was in 6th grade. We had taken a 6th grade trip, and we went to Coney Island.
Oh, fun.
And I think I mentioned I went to one Broadway show that I can really remember, which was Into the Woods. That was that same trip. And we were on the bus. We had like a, commuter bus kind of thing instead of a school bus. And on that bus ride, somebody had now and laters. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
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 So I bite down on a now and later, and I rip a tooth out.
Literally?
Yeah. So it was actually, I guess I had a tooth that hadn't come out yet that should have.
Yeah,
it was kind of
a baby tooth.
Yeah, but it was a baby tooth that I ripped out on the bus right to Coney Island and to see a Broadway show. So
was this on the way there or on the way back?
No, this was on the way there.
Nice.
Yeah. So
were you freaking out, or did you like whatever?
I feel like the tooth had a little bit of wiggle to it already, so I knew it wasn't like I just tore out one of my permanent teeth. And it also came out with like the look of a tooth that's coming out where you don't have a root. I mean, if I pulled out a root of a tooth, I think I would have probably freaked out pretty hard. But yeah.
Oh, that's wild, dude.
Yeah. Have you seen like now and laters? Do they still even? I haven't seen them anywhere.
That's a great question.
Long time.
Yeah, I don't know if they make them anymore.
Yeah. I'll have to look into that. Maybe Cracker Barrel. They seem to be the place that gets everything.
They do. Yeah.
Childhood.
Did you keep the tooth? Just stick in your pocket? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the teachers came back and assisted with the extraction of the tooth from the now and later, and then I put it in my pocket in a napkin or something. But
the real question is, did you finish the now and later?
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah. I think pull the teeth, get the blood off, throw it back
Pop it in, right? You're not going to waste a perfectly good now and later.
Yeah. That brings back memories, though. I'm going to have to find out if they still make now and laters and try to get some.
I don't think I would risk eating one at my age. I got to be honest.
Yeah. Actually, more for a filling. I'd be worried I'd rip a filling.
Right. Out. Yeah. You were at the age where you, like, before I eat something, I really think to myself, should I really be eating that?
Is it worth it?
Yeah. So sorry for the...
No, we've done 6 minutes on teeth. So
we'll have to do a Tooth Fairy episode one time.
Yeah. I'll just make one little note about the Tooth Fairy.
Sure.
I still have, when I was a kid, I got this little pillow that had a tooth, like felt tooth sewn onto it.
Mm-hmm.
My kids used the same one for their teeth. Yeah, good times.
Good times. But that's not why we're here today, is it, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, we could go on and on about teeth, but yeah, audience, stick with us here. It's not all about teeth today. It's about November of 1989.
The coming down to the wire with the 80s.
Yeah, we haven't done one of these in a little while where we check in on a specific month and year back in the 80s.
Good month.
It was a good month.
I mean, the 80s was solid from beginning to end, right? There's no wishy-washy here, beginning, middle. No, it was a solid decade, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we're knocking right on the edge. We're November, just a month left before we hit the 90s. So yeah, there's some good stuff here.
So you want to talk about some current events?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but on November 3rd, Lou Piniella became manager of the Cincinnati Reds. And who did he replace, Tim?
Well, he's a name synonymous with our area. One very aggressive Philadelphia Philly, formerly a Cincinnati Red, Pete Rose.
Charlie Hustle, right?
Yeah. Like, he was loved because of his style of play.
Right.
But ever since he, got caught with the gambling scandal, like he's had opportunities to kind of right the ship and try to clear his name. And every time he's on TV, stubborn. He's angry. And
digs his hole a little deeper, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's been talk of people trying to promote his making it into the Hall of Fame just based on his play. But there's not a lot of people behind that charge. He's not doing much, to help himself there.
So, that's true. Yeah. So let me ask you, we'll do a quick controversial take here on Latch-Key Dads, because, we're dads, we like sports, we love baseball.
Sure.
Should Pete Rose be allowed to be in the Hall of Fame? What do you think?
Personally, I think he needs to do a little bit more work to prove that he's worthy, just because I feel like obviously his play would most likely warrant him making it, but there's so many other great players out there that are good guys, and I mean, there is a part of me that I can kind of see a little bit of his argument now that betting has become such a big part of the world we live in.
Yeah, we could have a whole episode about that, by the way. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the last time he was on TV, he just came off as kind of a jerk.
Oh, really? I may have seen that. I don't know.
Yeah. But. So I'm gonna vote no.
I'm right there with you. Of all the things you can do, gambling on the sport, and even though, like, the little caveat for me that kind of gives it a window is he bet on his team to win.
Yeah.
But that still can impact the outcome of the next game. He uses all his relievers or whatever. Yeah. It's the rule. If Shoeless Joe Jackson isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Well, and to that point, I mean, the way that it's been handled with players who have gotten caught gambling in the NFL, it's pretty heavy penalties that they're up against. So there's too much money being made in that world that if players and coaches are somehow trying to manipulate the system, then all bets are off.
Yeah,
pun intended.
Okay, real quick. Current events. Ohtani, gambler, non-gambler? You buy his whole interpreter? Do you know about this?
I don't know enough about it to really, make it a strong opinion one or the other. How about you?
I just feel it's just so suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think? Why is your interpreter handling like $12 million of your money? Don't you have a financial advisor?
Yeah.
Like, that just seems. It's so sus, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
It's sus.
Well, even the way his contract has been handled, that like it's being deferred, and there's so many shenanigans going on there. It just seems it's unfortunate because he is really talented.
Oh, no doubt.
It's not good.
Back to 1989.
All right. Well, on that same day, November 3rd, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the NBA team, made their debut in a loss against the Supersonics of Seattle, 106-94.
Now, wait, aren't this... Because I don't follow basketball really much anymore. They're not the Supersonics anymore, right? They're just the Sonics?
Yeah, just the Sonics, yeah. Okay. I believe. I would agree.
They took out the super. November 6th, on U.S. Marshals and the FCC seize pirate radio station WJPL in Brooklyn. Do you remember that awesome movie with Christian Slater where he was I can't think of the name of the movie now, where he was the pirate radio guy?
Yeah.
So good.
I kind of remember it, Yeah, that was kind of the height of Christian Slater.
Oh, yeah.
All those guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna Google that while you do the next one.
Okay, sounds good. So on November 15th, Batman, the film, is released on videotape. And that was kind of a big thing because it was just awesome to be able to watch them over and over again. And having that, that movie in particular on videotape was pretty huge.
It was a big deal. Not only, to rent it, but to own it.
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of the period of time too where we would try to record movies that were being played on TV. So we'd have movies with commercials.
Yes.
And with a VHS player to fast forward through commercials, kind of not as enjoyable as skipping ahead.
Definitely not. And of course on TV there's gonna be no expletives.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it was always, they were reformatted to fit the 4:3 size of a TV versus the 16:9 of a actual movie theater.
Yeah.
So you were always missing some of the
screen
extra stuff on the screen.
Yeah. This is pretty interesting. On November 21st, law banning smoking on most domestic flights was signed into law. So you can't smoke on domestic flights anymore.
That's interesting that this is November of 89 and we were just flying like 2 weeks ago and they still have the no smoking indicators on the planes. Do they not? And they make the big announcement about not disabling the fire alarm or anything inside of the restroom and smoking in there. It's just interesting that they continue to have to keep those warnings in there.
Is there a production company that they're just not made aware you can don't have to put that anymore? Yeah. Or is it just there's people out there that if they don't see it, they're going to try it out?
I guess, yeah. There must be some legal precedent that they still have to put the warning up.
Now, do you remember being on an airplane as a kid and people smoking cigarettes?
I never flew until I think I was out of college.
Oh, really? Okay.
Before I flew. So by that point, that would have been well past 89. So the smoking law had already been passed.
Yeah. I do remember that as a little kid. Yeah. The smoking smoking line coming on and off.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's crazy what was allowed on the plane.
You're in a little tube. You're all sucking in that secondhand smoke, But
it was probably more fun to fly back then.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I will say I do have memories. Not only did I meet the pilot, I got the wings. I got the wings. Yeah. I got utensils. Oh, my parents still have them. They say Delta. They just giving stuff away.
Yeah. Yeah. It was much more of a production,
Yes. Yeah.
Now it's like, wedge yourself in, let's go.
Oh, you want water? That'll be $7.50, please. You can't pay with cash. You have to download the app and sign up for the My Rewards program and then use your credit card to purchase something.
Scan this QR code.
Yeah. We're not bitter. We promise.
Not at all. November 23rd was the infamous Bounty Bowl. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. It was a Thanksgiving game in which the coach of the Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson, accused Coach Buddy Ryan of putting bounties out on the players. And there has been some discussion of former players to indicate that was true.
That was going on, yeah.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, not cool. Yeah. Do you remember that game by any chance?
Yeah, I kind of do. Yeah. I mean, I watch a fair amount of football back then. I watch even more now. But yeah, I mean, it's a little fuzzy, but I do remember that rivalry and Buddy Ryan just being a curmudgeon on the side of the field.
And I saw this one. I included this one because I just wanted to say this name. So on November 23rd, Xenophon Zolatus is sworn in as Premier of Greece. So Xenophon Zolatus.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Premier of Greece.
What is a Premier?
I just assume it's, like Prime Minister or President.
Oh, or okay.
But I have no idea. And I'll say we'll report card it, but
Probably not.
Oh, so did you find anything on the you were going to look up the...
Oh, yes. Pump up the volume.
Okay.
Do you not ringing any bells?
No, it does. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And that was the film with
that was the movie with Christian Slater with the illegal radio. And then the school came after him and the government was cracking down.
Yeah.
The white suburban rebel.
Oh, we did miss one, and I want to bring it up only because I do have, or I've been told I have a small piece of the Berlin Wall.
Get out of here.
November 10th. they began demolishing the Berlin Wall, and it was a big deal.
A very big deal.
And so I have this it's in a little, package that says, piece of the Berlin Wall. It's in this little clear cylinder, and then there's a little teeny tiny rock in there, or, piece of concrete or whatever, and supposedly is a part. That's
pretty cool. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of jokes that was like a scam. That there was somebody just breaking up, pieces of concrete and selling them to kids as pieces of the Berlin Wall. So I've never carbon dated it or done anything to see if it's real, but I just take it at face value. And I'll try to dig it up and put a picture of that up on our website, but no guarantees.
No. That was a pretty big deal with the Berlin Wall falling. As a kid, I don't know about you, but I felt as a kid it was inevitable. It was going to happen. Yeah. And maybe it was just my staunch love of country or whatever. But I was like, yeah, this isn't going to. And then it did. So I wasn't surprised. I think that it did. Yeah. I was only 14 at the time, but. Yeah.
I also feel like MTV had pretty heavy coverage of it. MTV News was constantly talking about it.
They were, yeah.
And then, there were videos that were inspired by that. That was a big deal, and a lot of European bands made videos that somehow worked in the wall coming down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw Rocky IV, and I knew that they were going to triumph.
That's right.
Drago. Was it Drago?
Yeah, Drago. Yeah. All right, well, that wraps up the current events that we're going to talk about anyway. Yeah. So. Move on to movies?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we've got some hot movies coming out in November of '89.
Yeah, definitely. This was definitely, I'm sure this was one of your favorites. Steel Magnolias. Yeah.
Never seen it.
No?
No.
Sally Field, Dolly Parton.
I know of it.
Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
I know I saw little bits and pieces of it, but I can't say that I ever sat down and watched it from cover to cover. Yeah.
That's the antithesis of a movie I want to see.
Exactly. Well, we'll have to maybe pull someone in a future episode to give us a review of Steel Magnolias.
Yeah. Also released in November of '89 was a classic Disney Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Now this one I did see a ton of times, primarily because my youngest sister, huge fan of Little Mermaid. We had it on VHS.
Oh, you poor guy.
There was a summer, I'm guessing if it came out in '89, maybe Disney released it in 91, 92. I don't know, somewhere in that range. They would usually have a little delay. And so those summers, end of my high school career, I would sit and watch the Little Mermaid with my sister.
Man. I mean, the songs were catchy.
Yeah. I always found the crab, the French crab, the French chef who was chasing the crab. That was always very entertaining.
Most definitely.
Sacre bleu, I have missed one. Next, we had All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Sure.
Remember that one?
I honestly must have seen it, but I don't remember much about it. Let's just say that.
I'm going to say I didn't see it. I remember I remember the promos for it and stuff, but I don't think I ever saw it. I'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah. Huge movie next.
Yes.
This might be, honestly, a top 5 movie for me.
Okay.
I've seen this movie so many times. I absolutely love this movie. It's the rare time when a sequel is better than the original. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Back to the Future 2. Loved it.
Yeah.
Everything about it.
Yeah, I've been, rewatching it because they've just recently popped up on Netflix. Yeah. You can watch 1, 2, and 3. And there's talk of 4 coming out sometime in the near future.
Yeah.
But coming back to 2, it is rewatching it. I was reminded of some of the, just the greatness that goes along with it, and that style of movie. Robert Zemeckis, the score, the way they used music within it. Michael J. Fox just being Michael J. Fox. It was a lot of fun. It was a good movie. Yeah.
And because they filmed 2 and 3 at the same time or back to back, they really set up. I mean, I know this movie. I'm a dork. We could talk in depth later another day, but they set up so many minor things in 2, 4, 3. Like when they're in the alternate. I don't want to, by the way, spoiler. When they're in the alternate future and Biff is rich and he's sitting in the tub, he's watching the old Western with Clint Eastwood with the thing around his neck with the plate, metal, which happens in number 3. There's just so many of those, which is one of the reasons why I love that movie so much.
Yeah. Well, and there's also the scene where Christopher Lloyd, they're talking about destroying the time machine before, they've just what they think is reset things. They're going to go back, and he's like, I'm going to destroy it. And he says, and I'll never get to, visit the Wild West, and I'll never get to figure out the greatest mystery in the universe, women. And then he's got his whole love affair, and in part 3.
It all. Yeah.
A lot of great stuff in there.
It was so good. Yeah.
Now this one might be definitely in my top 5.
Okay.
Christmas Vacation came out.
So good.
Yeah. I know we've talked about it before, but
many times.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The next one here, I've actually never seen it. Harlem Nights with Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. I've loved movies by them, both of them. I never saw it.
Yeah, I don't think I did either, but yeah, big fan of Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. So maybe we'll have to do a review of Harlem Nights.
Okay, yeah. I do remember that the time it came out, I think my parents were really pretty liberal with let me see movies, but this movie set a record with the number of F-bombs.
Okay.
Per second. I forget what it was. It was like one F-bomb per 2.3 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
And my mom read an article and she was, and so I think that's probably why I never did see it.
Yeah, timing wise, our age and too much time went by the time we could actually see it. There was plenty of other movies before. Next one on the list. This is a huge favorite of my mom's. She
really
loves this movie, Prancer.
Okay.
Have you ever seen it?
I think I have, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Christmas movie.
Yes, Christmas movie. It has my father's in it. No, I'm just kidding. But the actor Sam Elliott. My dad gets numerous times people have seen my dad out, when he's vacationing or something, and they legitimately think that he's Sam Elliott.
That's hysterical.
Which is really kind of awesome. But yeah, it's this kind of touching little movie about a young, little girl who thinks she has, found Prancer, and the father is kind of gruff and but my mom loves it, so I've seen it many, many times, and it's a good movie.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I included this one just because it's kind of funny. I've never seen this one, but The Toxic Avenger Part 3. Did you ever see that, any of them?
I know I saw the first one. I might have seen the second one, but I'm quite certain I didn't see the third
I know
one.
I saw the first one. I don't think I saw any of the others. I just thought it, bad. Ooh.
The epitome of a B movie. It's probably more of a D movie or E movie.
Yeah. And I did hear that Peter Dinklage was trying to reboot it.
Really?
But it just didn't.
No traction.
He couldn't get traction. The audience, I think, is not there.
Yeah. And so much of what made those movies cult classics, you just can't do anymore.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of naked ladies running around in those movies.
Yeah. Next one up, Phantom of the Opera with Robert Englund. I never saw it.
Oh, no?
No.
I liked it. I haven't seen it since probably, I saw it on VHS when it came out. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. He's a great, creepy dude.
Yeah.
Freddie.
He, I know you haven't seen all of Stranger Things, but he makes a cameo in
No
Stranger
way.
Things. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's next on my list.
Yeah. No, he does a really good job with the character that he plays. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Just a little sample. No spoiler there, but a little sample.
I got 3 episodes of Breaking Bad left, and I'll move on to Stranger Things.
All right, sounds good.
And I just put this here. It was like the dying ember of those really bad slasher flicks.
Okay.
November. I don't know. They were coming out left and right. There were so many of them, but really, I think after that, it started changing more of the sequels and things like that. So, yeah.
All right, so move on to some TV.
Yeah, we can do it real quick.
All right.
Monday night, we had. Tell me if you've ever heard of these. We had MacGyver.
Loved MacGyver.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Major Dad. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Was that with
Simon and Simon guy? Right.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I feel like it was. Gabe did not like
Gabe was
Major
not a
Dad.
fan. No. Doesn't want anything to do with Major Dad.
Murphy Brown.
Yep.
Newhart.
Yes.
Which sadly Bob Newhart passed away.
Oh, he did?
He did.
I didn't hear that. That's a bummer.
My dad loved Bob, loved him back in the day when he was on the radio and stuff.
Yeah.
And his comedy, he was great.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Daryl, my other brother Daryl.
Yeah. 21 Jump Street.
Huge.
Gosh, so good. If you for all you millennials and Generation Z's out there, you want to check out a young Johnny Depp.
21 Jump Street. Yeah.
I thought you were going to sing it, Tim.
Nope.
By the way, and we might have talked about this, those movies are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
They're really good. And finally on Monday night, Alf.
So moving on to Tuesday, we had Who's the Boss? Tony Danza.
Tony Danza was the boss.
Yeah. The Wonder Years. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I watched some, but I wasn't like a diehard.
Yeah.
Rescue 911.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Matlock. Nope.
My grandmother watched it, so whenever I was there, like we would visit my grandparents in Florida every summer, so we would watch Matlock.
Yeah.
That and what was the Angela Lansbury one?
Oh my gosh.
Murder, She Wrote.
Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah,
There you go.
Wednesdays we had a little Growing Pains. Kind of generic.
Yeah. But I watched it.
Yeah. Head of the Class. I vaguely remember.
Yeah.
I like this one. I was a Doogie Howser fan.
Yeah.
I did like Doogie Howser. Wise Guy. Night Court. I did like Night Court.
Yeah, Night Court was great.
Yeah. My Two Dads and Quantum Leap.
Yeah. I feel like I watched Quantum Leap a little bit in like syndication. Like it would run on Sundays or something in the afternoon. I watched it then, but I didn't watch it much when it was live.
Same here. I kind of got into it after the fact.
Yeah. Thursdays we had Mission Impossible, 48 Hours, The Cosby Show, A Different World.
It was a spin-off of Cosby.
Yeah, correct. Cheers. Cheers got most of my attention on a Thursday.
You guys were a big Cheers family, right?
Dear John and Knots Landing.
I mean, I know of them. Didn't,
Yeah.
Friday. Here you go. Your Friday night lineup of Full House.
Yes.
Family Matters.
Mm-hmm.
That was Urkel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers. Yeah.
You know the guy Bronson Pinchot.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but they did the new Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Or Beverly Hills Cops.
Yes.
Just came out, and he does.
Oh, he does.
Reprise his shop owner.
Nice.
What was it? Surge.
Yeah.
In that. Just the 10 of Us. Dallas was still running, and Falcon Crest.
Okay. And then Saturday night we had Mr. Belvedere, Living Dolls. I don't know what that was. Tour of Duty.
I do remember that. I like that show.
Cops.
Oh yeah.
The Golden Girls.
Classic.
And Empty Nest.
All right. And rounding out on Sunday, we had Life Goes On, Murder, She Wrote. We just talked about that. Married with Children. You guys would sit around the TV and watch that on Sunday night.
So uncomfortable to watch that with your parents, but we did it.
The Tracy Ullman Show and Sister Kate.
Nice.
Now, bear with me. I'm just curious, how many of these have been rebooted? I'm just going to go back. I want to see. Now, they rebooted MacGyver.
Yes.
Right? They didn't reboot 21 Jump Street.
Just the movie. They did the movies.
Maybe not. I meant Night Court.
Yeah.
Just got rebooted. Cheers didn't have a reboot now. Full House.
Full House did, yeah.
Yeah. And that might be.
Wasn't there a Dallas?
Yes.
On Netflix or something?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Cops, they've made variations on. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So that's, 4 or 5 shows were rebooted because people can't let the 80s go.
That's right.
What was some of the new music, the new albums that were out in November of '89?
So we had Bad Religion with No Control.
Okay. Not a big Bad Religion fan myself. Yeah. You?
I knew of them, but I didn't have any of their albums.
Yeah.
My brother might have had one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Rush with Presto. Are you a Rush fan?
I'm not a huge Rush fan, but there was the movie I Love You Man, and something about watching that movie sort of made me like appreciate Rush a little more, just because it was such a huge part of that movie. But yeah, I'm not a huge Rush fan.
No. Queen Latifah with All Hail the Queen.
Yeah, when it was on the radio, I listened to it, but I didn't have any CDs.
No.
Queen Latifah. Phil Collins, But Seriously. My dad was a huge Phil Collins fan, so I'm pretty sure we had maybe a cassette tape of But Seriously.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. It's so good.
There was the Melvins, Ozma.
I don't like punk that much.
I had not hit my punk phase yet. I was well into college before I really got into any punk. So.
Yeah.
We had Mudhoney. I think this was their first album, just self-titled Mudhoney.
Yeah.
Sort of on the cusp of, the grunge.
Starting to hit, Yeah.
We had Technotronic with Pump Up the Jam.
I don't think I heard that song.
I know I had that on cassette.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then rounding it out with Whitesnake's Slip of the Tongue.
There you go.
I also had that one on cassette.
Now the Billboard Top 10 This was as of November 25th, 1989. Should we do it from 10 up?
Sure.
A little Casey Kasem action?
Yeah, let's do it.
Coming in at number 10, we've got Phil Collins with Another Day in Paradise. A little slow.
Yeah.
Not one of his...
But it was catchy, even though it was slow.
Yeah.
I can hear it right now in my head.
Right?
Coming in at number 9, we had Don't Know Much by Linda Ronstadt. I know that was in high rotation with you, Greg.
Shut up, dude. Coming to number 8, we've got Soul to Soul with Back to Life.
That just replaced Another Day in Paradise in my brain. That one's on repeat right now. Number 7, coming in at number 7, Alice Cooper with Poison.
I remember that song, actually. Yeah. Oh, now this one was a big hit in the Tim household with Everyone Loves Them, Richard Marx, and Angelia.
Right. All right, so this, I'm probably going to get some backlash on this. Sure. I'm not a huge Billy Joel fan.
Oh, that's it. Podcast. No, I'm kidding.
But I can appreciate like his, what he's done in his career. This song was one of those songs that, like, love or hate Billy Joel, it was just, I feel like this probably should have been number 1 because it was just, it got played so much. We didn't start the fire.
Great song.
Yeah, great song.
I like Billy Joel. I think at some point right around 92, he kind of got way too soulful, lost the rock, the pop that I like so much. You know. But yeah, I was a big fan of Billy Joel. Now, have you heard he just put out a song, and it's the video for it. I will have to pull it up and check it out. It's fantastic. Okay. It's like, because he stopped right around 95, I think is like his last album. Yeah. And then he put out this album and this song, and it's like, I don't know. I don't want to ruin it. It'll give you chills. Okay. It's that good.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. It's pretty intense.
Now, did that end sort of coincide with the Christie Brinkley end?
Yeah, it was shortly after.
Okay. Because I know like he wouldn't play Uptown Girl, after that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I was very upset because, he just ended his 10-year run at Madison Square Garden. He had he would play like 5 shows a month at Madison Square Garden for like 10 straight years, and they were all sellouts, every single one of them. And I never went. And I'm like kind of kicking myself. I could have gone. Yeah. But
maybe he'll give it one more shot.
Maybe, yeah.
So on to number 4.
Number 4, everybody's favorite, Paula Abdul with "It's Just the Way That You Love Me."
All right.
It's getting late, folks. It's getting late.
Again, this was not a band that I was a huge fan of, but it was just one of those songs that was extremely overplayed and very popular, and that was the B-52s with Love Shack.
Try getting that out of your head for the next 24 hours. Yep. Oh my gosh, this song, boy, talk about bad. By bad English, When I See You Smile.
Again, very, obviously it was number 2 in the Billboard. It got a lot of airplay. Yeah. Now, this is really funny because of the world we live in, where people get famous for basically lip syncing on TikTok and Instagram Reels and whatever, fill in the blank. But these were the originators of it. Milli Vanilli, number 1 with "Blame It on the Rain."
Blame It on the Rain.
They were ahead of their time.
They did. They knew what was coming. Yeah. I mean, if you really look at the time, there's a couple of duds like, the Linda Ronstadt. But every one of those songs, Oh, yeah. And like that's, how good it was. Even if it wasn't good, it was at least catchy and memorable.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, with our kids and, let's say 15 years from now, if they go back to the music that was playing when they were 12 and 13, are they going to be like, oh, these are so catchy and great? Or are they going to be like, so much Justin Bieber?
I really feel that's why the 80s music is so popular, especially the rock. Yeah. Like, there's just a void of, like, people playing instruments, like real rock. I mean, other than Coldplay, a couple of other, and Coldplay's, like, pretty much done at this point. Like, I just feel that there's no bands out there, like rock bands,
Well, I would agree in the sense that, like, most of them don't make it mainstream. Like, mainstream is primarily like pop and
that, what's her name?
Oh, you mean Ariana?
No. Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
Oh, God, it's such bubblegum. And everyone's like, it's really good music.
My daughter's going to have to mute this section.
Yeah.
She's a huge fan. Although she did say
everybody's a huge fan.
Her fandom sort of hit its, peak, and it's kind of coming down a little bit.
Yeah. I don't want to, listen, people like what you like. And, it's just, and even when I was 12 and 13, I didn't like, the bubblegum pop stuff. So. Yeah. Certainly not going to start liking it at 49.
I don't know. Let's open up your Spotify and see what you've been listening to.
No. K-pop, great.
There it is.
It's November of 89 in about 39 minutes. Give or take.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Greg.
So you had a really good idea about a little promotional giveaway kind of thing?
Yeah. We've been selling our keychains on our website for a while.
Very nice keychains, by the way.
Yeah. It's, very popular. But I thought it'd be fun for some of our dedicated listeners who are listening all the time to give them an opportunity to get a free one.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So we're going to utter a Dungeons and Dragons phrase in every episode.
That's right. And if you're the first one to message us either on a direct message on Instagram or Facebook, or send us an email at dads@latchkeydads.com, you will win a free keychain.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So are you ready?
Yes. For the inaugural D&D phrase. Here we go.
The Dungeons and Dragons phrase of the episode is passive perception.
Ooh. Very cool. So if you are listening and want a free keychain, send us that message with that key phrase and you'll win.
I like winning stuff.
Oh, I just got an email from Greg.
So Tim, I wanted to go back and talk about the one movie in November of '89 I mentioned that was one of my all-time favorites, and that's Back to the Future 2. I think we can't get away without talking a little bit more about this fantastic movie.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in there.
A lot of weird things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What were some of the things that you know about the movie? And I did look online for a fun facts about Back to the Future 2. I'm like, yeah, I know it. They didn't get me on one of them.
I mean, the one thing that always kind of stands out is the thing with Crispin Glover. That was the fact that they had put in an actor to sort of be the likeness of him as George McFly, and then that kind of changed the trajectory of his career because he made such a big deal of it and kind of went to bat for actors as a whole that you can't use the likeness of me without some sort of value associated with who I am as an actor.
Yeah. So for any audience members who don't know, they used his image, his likeness in the second movie, but he wasn't in it.
Right.
And he turned around and he sued them and won.
And what's interesting too is I remember watching it and it didn't even dawn on me because there were scenes in the movie where they spliced in some of the original, from the first movie when they're back in 1955, and so you see him.
Yeah.
And you just assume that the future version they've done some makeup to make him look older, and then you find out that no, it was not him at all. And then how his career just sort of petered out and you didn't see him anywhere because I think he kind of got blackballed. They awarded him, $765,000, which is a lot of money in 1989, 1990, whenever that court case was settled.
But not what he would have made.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Over the lifetime of a career.
Yeah. And then he got really weird. I think he was weird to begin with.
I think he was an odd duck.
Yeah. Seeing some of the behind the music kind of things where they would do it with actors, they'd kind of see behind the scenes of their life.
Yeah.
He was weird. But that was sort of a side element of the movie.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot more, just in the movie itself. So
yeah. It was Elijah Wood's first film. So if you go when he goes into that cafe 80s and he walks in and eventually, again, I was talking about the foreshadowing that they do so well in the movie because he can really shoot well. Michael J. Fox's character in the Wild Wild West. You're like, well, how can he shoot so well? Well, it's because he played the arcade game, the West game or whatever, and he would shoot with the toy. That's how they set up. Yeah. But the little kid that is sitting there is Elijah Wood. That was his first movie credit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too in that scene because they kind of, he thinks he's going to be cool by showing these kids that he knows how to play this old retro game, and their reaction is just so like, it feels like the kind of reaction we get now when you show off some of your talents of knowing how to play these games from the 80s, and you're like, kids are like, oh, cool, Dad, and then they go and play the new Xbox game or whatever. So
it's like, this game, Super Mario Brothers, you can play it for hours.
Why would you do that, Dad? It's so boring. There's 2 buttons. Like,
it's 2D. It's not even. So funny.
That's awesome. So this was a classic sort of 80s thing that would happen where you'd see, the first season of a show or a movie, and then they'd have the sequel where they would change a major character, the actor who played the actor.
Yeah.
So in this case, it wasn't to be like Crispin Glover where they tried to simulate the character and, try to convince us that it was the same actor. But they did change Marty's girlfriend.
Yes, Jennifer, right?
Jennifer, from Claudia Wells to Elizabeth Shue, who was pretty hot at that point.
Yeah.
Physically, she was attractive, but hot in the sense that she was in a lot of films and, kind of an upgrade in who they were using in that particular character, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. No. And it was very interesting because they said, the director, Robert Zemeckis, said he wished he didn't film that scene with the original actress. Because, remember she gets in the car at the end of 1, because then they had to reshoot those with Elizabeth Shue to kind of like, introduce her and everything. Yeah. So it's kind of, thought he was being proactive there, and it didn't work out for him.
And it makes you wonder, like, if there was anything else to that. Like, was there an issue with the actress, that Claudia Wells didn't...
She gave up acting.
Oh, she did?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There was this, and this is kind of funny, the whole hoverboards are real discussion.
Yeah.
Because Robert Zemeckis joked about it in an interview. I had a friend who swore to me that you could go to a store and buy hoverboards, and we're like, no, you really can't. He's like, yes, you can. And he insisted for weeks until I think finally he just admitted defeat.
Yeah. Well, and I know this is going back a bunch of years, kind of before the height of Instagram and videos that are, today, deep fakes and all this kind of stuff where you can really question, is this real or not, because it's that good. There was a big production with Tony Hawk where they had created this video, high production value, and simulated Tony Hawk on a hoverboard, and it went viral, like before going viral was a thing. And everyone was convinced that Tony Hawk was introducing the actual working hoverboards. And it was, enough years had gone by that it looked like, okay, we figured out the technology. This is real. Tony Hawk wouldn't be a part of this if it wasn't real. Yeah. And then within I don't know if it was days or weeks or something, it came out that it was all just a big, a spoof. And it was
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll find it and I'll throw it up on our website. But it's a really convincing video that Tony is riding, the original Mattel hoverboards, and again, not real.
That's fantastic. We should check that out.
Yeah. But also, like, I'm sorry, a bunch of years ago when the quote unquote hoverboards with the wheels came out, and I'm like, you can't call that a hoverboard. It's not a hoverboard. Watch the movie. It's not a hoverboard.
And I think it goes to show this movie came out in '89. Like how good Zemeckis was as a director, and how far advanced computers, CGI had come to make you second guess.
Yeah,
like it looks so good. It was really well done.
Yeah, and even in the behind the scenes where they are using green screen, and it's now watching it, you can kind of see, okay, it's fake.
Yeah,
but they also did a ton of stuff with wires and different armatures where they were moving the characters or even the DeLorean in such a way to try to really convince you that it's hovering or floating.
Yeah.
And I think it was a ton of work to pull all that off prior to, what we have now, where everything is just completely computer generated. But it was pretty awesome back then.
Yeah. In one of the 2015 scenes, Marty is walking through the town square of Hill Valley when a holographic shark comes, and it's like Jaws 619, and then he freaks out because he thinks it's real. He ducks, and then if you look on the marquee, it says directed by Max Spielberg,
right.
Who I think he was like 4 years old.
Okay,
actually Steven Spielberg's son, Max. Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah. And even Marty's comment, after he realizes, it's fake, he says something about how, well, they still don't, this shark still looks fake.
Yeah.
Like that after all these years that CGI still wouldn't whatever, the technology behind making movies wouldn't be at the point that you would believe
a shark is truly, yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. There's the diner that he goes to, obviously, the retro diner, and there are 4 options for Pepsi.
Yes.
Obviously, original, then Pepsi Max, Diet, and Perfect. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he gets a perfect Pepsi.
I think so. Yeah.
And so the movie's released, obviously, 1989. And then Pepsi Max wasn't released until 1993, and then isn't actually available in the U.S. until 2007, which is pretty interesting.
It is weird. It's like they were... I guess maybe they didn't get... We'll have to get the story on this one day. Yeah. Like, how did that lag so far behind?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And it does beg the question of, like, is it just coincidence that they chose to use that in the movie and then it ended up coming to fruition? Or did they make a deal back in 89 that we're going to put this product placement in the future?
That would be cool.
Then actually make it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But it's not called Pepsi Max anymore, right? Is it? It's Pepsi Zero.
Pepsi Zero.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Which I don't know the answer to this, but was Pepsi Max, was that a zero sugar version?
Yeah. Yes, because the reason I read this somewhere, the reason it wasn't brought to the United States was because the FDA wouldn't approve it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's got
the alternate sugar product. Or sweetener rather. Yeah. Pretty wild. But it isn't, I mean, that whole future, I mean, we're talking, it was October of 2015 is the future that they go to. It's kind of interesting, the parallels of what they put into that future that they thought would be there versus what actually are, we're now a couple of years beyond 2015. A lot of that stuff didn't happen. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
So I'll just touch on it. There was a newspaper scene where they're discussing why they came to the future. Marty and Doc are just getting out of the DeLorean. It's 2015. And so Marty's asking more questions like, why are we here? What's the problem, kind of thing. And Doc gives them a paper of the next day after they've arrived.
Right.
And it shows that Marty's son has gotten into trouble.
Yep, and arrested.
So I paused that scene and I just was looking through some of the other sub-headlines
good idea.
Of what was in the newspaper. So these are some of the things that they were predicting might happen.
I don't know. I didn't know this. Go ahead. You're giving me something new here.
So this is, again, October, I think it was 15th maybe that they arrived. So let's say October 16th of 2015.
Yep.
Okay, so they have Marshall runs a 3-minute mile. Now, I don't know what that Marshall reference is. If there's a runner, a famous runner who maybe their grandson or son or something would be.
That's a good question.
But the idea that someone could run a 3-minute mile is kind of crazy.
Crazy.
Breaking the 4-minute mile was a big deal, but to go to 3 minutes would be insane.
Yeah. Usain Bolt, maybe.
Slam ball playoffs begin.
New sport.
They theorize it'd be a new sport called slam ball. This one's kind of sad. Washington prepares for Queen Diana's visit. But in reality, Prince Charles just recently took the position of king, which 2015, Queen was still there.
Yeah.
And then the last one, it just says president says she's tired. So they're predicting a female president.
2015.
So some interesting headlines there.
That is.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And one last cool fact, which I did pick this out, was that the Needles, the guy who causes Marty to lose his job, makes him get in the car wreck by taunting him on the road with the drag racing, is in fact Flea, the bassist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who I think for some reason actually says it's a terrible movie, which I'd really like to sit down and have a discussion with him why on earth he thinks that.
Yeah. But it is kind of cool. I mean, Flea had a bunch of these parts, where he would little bit parts in movies, but he did have a fair number of notes on his IMDb of movies where he got a little bit of screen time. So it was kind of cool.
I just watched, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but I watched Obi-Wan. Okay. And he has a bit part in Obi-Wan.
Okay.
He had a bit part, I believe, him and Anthony Kiedis in Point Break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right.
Those are the ones I can think of. Do you remember any others?
You're putting me on the spot, and I can't. But I just remember him, popping
a lot of places,
different movies.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to come back to that and Maybe report card it, but probably won't.
Yeah. But they are a true LA band.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their home. So it's not surprising that he's got nothing, multi-million-dollar career. He's just hanging out.
Yeah. And he's such a unique, like physically, his look is very unique, but he's an interesting guy. You know? Like his face, the gap in his teeth, the whole thing. Like he's a character just to look at.
Yep. Yeah.
And then obviously that's easy to cast when you have such unique features.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Can't get enough Latch-Key Dad content? Well, check out latchkeydads.com.
That's right, Greg. On our website, we've got a plethora of photos from each episode, as well as other interesting links to content that we talk about on the show.
Yeah, Tim, I really enjoy all the pictures that you put up there, as they really bring the episode home.
Yeah, I guess I'm not afraid to show those embarrassing photos of my childhood. So, we encourage you to check out the website, latchkeydads.com, for all that content.
Excellent. And if you have a moment, check out our shop page where we've got really cool keychains for sale. If you don't know what to get your dad for Christmas, the holidays, Father's Day, birthday, check it out. It's a cool gift. Tim, did you know that listeners should like, review, and subscribe to the Latch-Key Dads podcast?
No. But now I know. Knowing is half the battle.